Hello and welcome to the new team members orientation video. My name is James Green and I want to welcome you as the newest member of Bay Area Housing. I'm also a team member here at Bay Area, and you'll notice that I do most of the training videos and tech support for the company. What I'm going to do today is just help you get set up with our company with everything that you need. And notice the web page that I'm at is pretty much just consider this as your mission control center. Everything that you do for the most part will be done from Ruth Ann's website. So go to ruthanjones.com and then hover over admin and click on team members e-lounge, and this is where you're going to be hanging out. Login information, which you should have received in your welcome email, is admin and big bucks, BIGBUCKS. And if you want to, you don't have to remember that every time, just choose remember me. And by default, when you get logged in, it brings you right to the e-lounge. Now I'm going to do a little walkthrough here for you to help you familiarize yourself with the e-lounge and with just pretty much everything that's here in your login area. And we're always updating things, we're always progressing, so right now what you may see may be a little bit different, but the basic concept should be the same as on this orientation video. On the left here you have the docs, and this is just several different documents that you would be using to interact with. One of them primarily being your timesheet. Also the team member paperwork, which is one of the things that you need to fill out as part of your checklist, but I'll go into that in a little bit. And I apologize, I can see I've got I need to go in here and fix this, because this should be separated down here. Team member paperwork shouldn't be scooted over, but pretty much just know in general that this is where the documents are. So let's go back to the e-lounge. And then the classroom is where a lot of the training stuff happens, mostly training videos right now that you click on. And as you can see, it's where you found your new team member orientation video. And then procedures. This is still a fairly new part of our company, but we're trying to make it so that whenever you have a particular procedure, this just gives you a real easy template to follow to help you not be able to leave out any steps, and it just takes the guesswork out of it for you for the most part. You just go step by step through the checklist for whether it's a processor that is going to be listing a property or whatever it may be, or if you're having to order signs or something like that. We're creating the procedures page to take the guesswork out. So that's pretty much it for the e-lounge for now. Some of the other things over here, just so you know what it is, and depending on what type of team member you are, you may or may not use some of these things, but these are the broker forms that are just various forms that the broker would need to access, and there may be times when you need to come here and get some of those. And then contracts. These are the contracts that are used for buying and selling houses, and we have them broken down between by counties, as well as the addendums, which the addendums are also listed under each county to just help with just making it easier for you to get everything you need, and you don't have to always come back to this main page, because some of these documents, just the way that they're organized, they go several layers deep, and you have to click on several links to finally get to the actual one that you're going to. As you can see, there's several here, several layers deep, and it's a pretty complex thing, but hopefully we've made it as streamlined as possible. Then the listing manager, still getting some work done on that, but that is where the person who's the real estate processor will be interacting with this, because this listing manager is what determines the way things show up on the properties page. And just click on that for a moment. And the properties page, by the time you get to it, may look slightly different, but just listen to the general concepts that I'm showing you. But because these are the properties that show up when you click the properties tab, that means these are the properties that are still actively on the market. And that listing manager is what controls what shows up on this page or not. And it's not my intent to go into too much detail on that right now, because there's a separate video for doing it, but just know that this is where you interact with that, as far as the MLS number, the listing address of the property will be here, and then whenever we want to attach a YouTube video to a particular property, then you just enter in the YouTube code from YouTube right here, and then that attaches the YouTube video to it. So that's the listing manager. And that listing manager controls all of the properties that we have, whether or not it's listed on the MLS, or even if it's not listed on the MLS, because some properties that Jody and Ruth Ann sell are not ever going to be listed on the MLS. So we needed a way to make all of their properties show up on the same page, even if it's not on the MLS. And that's what this last menu item is for, is the non-MLS listings. And this is also where you go to do the status changes for that. And this takes you to a login area. Again, this is going to be a separate training video, so I just wanted you to be familiar with what the link does. And so when you do that, you would log in here, and then this is where you enter in the information about a property that's not going to be listed on the MLS, just like the price and the different details about the house. And then once that happens, it actually ends up showing up in the listing manager with all the MLS properties, and that way everything looks uniform and on the properties page. And a person that just goes to the properties page doesn't have the ability to tell the difference of whether it's MLS listed or not. So that's a quick overview of the e-lounge for you. Now I want to go through your checklist of things that you're going to be doing, just to make sure you get everything in place, make it easy for you as possible for getting set up. And for that, this is one of our procedures. So you want to go here to get your checklist to get set up with the company, and Solve 360 login is what you want to click on. Solve 360 is a great website that allows us to create the templates for our procedures, and it's actually is a very powerful thing, can do a lot of stuff. But for right now, I'm just giving you a basic overview for it. And I apologize if I seem like I'm going pretty fast, but I'm assuming that all you have to do is just pause and rewind. That way I can make the video as short as possible. So in your welcome email, you should have received the your new email address for the company, and I'm using Brandy as an example here. And so to log into Solve 360, you just put your email address in here, and then the password that came along with that. And this is your main dashboard area for your Solve 360. Solve 360 is designed around project blogs, and most of you are probably familiar with the way a blog works to a degree, and it pretty much is just a way to interact with many different types of items in a particular order. So I'll show you what I mean. First thing you want to do when you get signed in is you want to create your first project blog, and then this particular project blog actually is going to be a checklist that you're going to be using. So name it after yourself. Just say Brandy's new team member orientation checklist. And then if you'll notice up here, this is telling you with who all this particular blog is shared with. This is shared with everybody in Bay Area. And it's assigned to you. Make sure that your email is what is chosen here. And that's pretty much all you need to deal with in this area. And so down here in this particular area of this blog, is where all of the activities can be entered in. So sometimes, depending on what the purpose of the blog is that you're interacting with, you may be adding an activity, and notice all the different types of activities you can add to your blog. So just for fun here, let's add a section header to group items together, and we'll just call this the checklist for the section header. Section header allows you to hide things underneath it. That way, some of the blogs that we have are pretty massive, and so they can really get out of hand looking, and so we add in these section headers to help collapse certain sections of it to make it look better. So now your checklist is in here, and this is the first thing that's in your blog. The next thing you want to do, since we've created a template for your checklist, you don't actually have to create the checklist yourself, you just have to enter in the template. So you go to Arrange Activity Template, insert a template of activities, and choose the checklist for new team member orientation. And when you do that, it inserts it in there. And notice when I hover over this header that I created, it gives a couple options. I can edit the header by clicking here. I can post a comment about it by clicking there, and this allows me to move it, and this allows me then to delete it if I didn't want to keep that. So I'm going to click and drag it up, and you can see it creates a green line right here showing me where it'll drop it if I let go of my left button. So when I do that, it's rearranged that properly. Now what I could have done to skip that step, and I didn't think to do that, is I could have, underneath this checklist, I could have right clicked right there and actually brought up the same menu as add an activity, and then I could have chosen, oh wait, I correct myself on that, there is no way to add a template that way. But just know in general that you can place things right where you want to by right clicking and then choosing to add an activity, and it will put it where you've right clicked. Evidently there's not a way to do that with a template, so you just have to drag it around. So here's your checklist, and notice over here that you could add tasks and things. For this particular one though, you're not actually creating it, you're just going to fill it out. So notice this is the checklist that each of you are going to use and make sure you complete every step, taking out the guesswork. And right now you can see we're right in the middle of new team member orientation video, so whenever you're done with this and you've created your own version of this, and you can check that off. And so for the rest of the video, for the most part, I'm just going to go right through your checklist and make sure that we've clarified everything that we need you to do here. First thing is just to fill out the new team member paperwork that, if you remember, was back on the website under procedures. My connection's been running slow, so let's see what happens here. I'm sorry, it was not under procedures. It was the one that was messed up under the docs tab. So back to admin, team members e-lounge. It should have remembered that I was logged in, or not. And then go to docs. Good night. Look, it's fixed itself. Alright, so your team member paperwork is here in the docs, and as I said before, we are always updating and improving our site, so there may be some slight changes to this, but it'll be under the docs section. One thing I can already foresee that we may be changing is that depending on the type of team member you are, you may have a different set of paperwork to click on. But just look for team member paperwork, and if you're a contractor of some sort, you may have a different one, but if you're just a regular team member, you may have something different. But the instructions will be correct in your welcome email. So that's where you do that, and then notice here when you fill it out, if you want to scan it in once you've signed it and everything, and email it to admin@ruthanjones.com, or if you don't have a way to scan something in, then fax it to this number on your screen. And if you have an iPhone, then you actually do have a scanner. You could just probably take a picture of it and send it as an email if you don't have a fax or some other type of smartphone. As long as the resolution is high enough, that would probably be okay if you do a good enough job at submitting that. It's very clear. Make sure it's clear enough to read and everything. So that's the team member paperwork section. The next thing is you want to add your contact info to the team member contacts document, and that as well is in the docs in the e-lounge. Here's his team member contact info, and whenever you click on that, that really is a link to the Google Doc. This one's pretty self-explanatory. Just put your name, email address, and cell phone number in here. And also, just so you know, if you need the contact information for anyone that's part of Bay Area, this is where you can find that information. And as far as I know, all of these people also have text messaging, so a lot of times it's better to even try to send a text message, especially when you call and you don't get anybody to pick up. A lot of times we can communicate through text messaging when we cannot communicate by phone. So that's it for the team member contacts doc. The next thing you need to do is watch the how to clock in and out on your timesheet video, and this will familiarize you with how to use our timesheets, and you can find that also in the e-lounge in the classroom. Go to the classroom here and look for the video. How to clock in and out on your timesheet, and then when you click on that, it'll open the video up and you can watch it. Follow the instructions accordingly. So there's the how to clock in and out, and then once you've checked all of these off, it's important to go ahead and check this last one, because what that does is that actually will notify Pepper, which, by the way, Pepper Potts, I don't know if I'm a big Iron, I don't know if you know this, but Iron Man, I love Iron Man, so does Jody, and so Iron Man has a executive assistant that her name is Pepper Potts, and so we've just always called Pepper, we've always called Linda Pepper, so that's where that comes from, in case you were wondering. But what this does, as I said, there's quite a bit of neat functionality to Solve 360, and so whenever you check this off, this will actually, it's set up upon completion to send an email confirmation to Pepper at admin@ruthanjones.com. So that way she will then have confirmation that you've completed everything on your checklist. So that's pretty much it then for the new team member orientation. We're really excited to have you on board as part of a team member, part of Bay Area, and we just thank you so much for being a part of this, and we look forward to doing some great things together. Have a great day.